Super producers, welcome to yet another wonderful episode of Studio One. And today we are still moving on with where we left from in our last video. We learned how to set up a project, and today we're going to do a few things so that we know what exactly we're supposed to do once we have these blank pages. Now, for every DAW out there, you'll certainly have a number of pages or windows that will assist you do a project properly. Now in Studio One, we have this section here where you see the mouse, and we have this section, and there are very many other windows that get to open when you click on browse, mix, and edit. So all these things are supposed to support you do your project properly. So once you have these blank pages the way they are right now, as you can see on top here, there are several things which you can toggle. There are several things to click. Unfortunately, most of these things, they only function properly when you begin a project, so you might not really be able to understand them really well before maybe we get to start doing a few things here and there. And so the very first thing you need to do when you have these blank pages after you've set up your project is to, depending with how you want to work, and maybe depending with how you want to configure your system, what I usually do myself, the first thing I usually do is creating channels, the number of channels that I want to use. Now, there are two different scenarios in this situation. For example, if I'm in studio the way I am right now, I'm in a studio, I will definitely open audio tracks. So what you do when you want to open audio tracks, there are two ways. You can right click on your far left blank page, this blank window here. Once you right click, you're going to see add tracks, add audio track mono, and a number of things going on down there. So what you need is add tracks, and the shortcut, as you can see from the description, is letter T. So you can either right click or just click on T on your keyboard, and then you'll get the same window. So let me just click on T. It is bringing the same thing. So once you see this window, there are several things on this, and on top here you can see the name. So you can decide to label the track, but I'll show you why I don't prefer labeling it here. And then there's the type, which is really important. Now we want to record audio. So why is this part very important? Because we can either choose to record audio, we can choose to record a VST instrument, automation, or even create a folder track. So for this situation, we want to create audio, we want to record some audio. So I'll click on audio on the type, and then on the count, this basically determines the number of channels you want to open at once. So for example, if by default, right now it's 1, but you could choose to open more than one track. And maybe, let's say, for example, we want to open, let's say, 12 tracks, for example. This is depending now on what you want to record. So I've opened 12 tracks. This is now on the count. Now on this pack folder, this basically means once I click, I engage this pack folder, they will open up, but they will be packed in a particular folder, all the 12 tracks. And then I can, once I unpack the folder, I'll get the 12 tracks. So I will not check the pack folder button here. And then on the color, this is now basically how the tracks, the color coding of the tracks will look like. So you can either choose one color, or once this auto color button is not checked, it means the only color you have is the particular color that you're going to choose. For example, I can decide I want all my vocals to be blue in color. For example, I'm recording all the 12 tracks at once, so I'll decide to have the color code for my vocals to be blue. Or maybe I can also decide to have several colors for different things. So when I choose auto color, I'll no longer now use blue as the only color for the 12 tracks, but it will keep on changing. Anyway, it's not a very important thing, but I'll show you why it's important in a different section somewhere. And then on the format bit, we have mono and stereo. Now remember, we are recording audio. There are only two forms of recording audio, which is either in mono or in stereo. I'll tell you why it's important to record in mono, but you could also choose to record in stereo. But in most cases, I can say 90% of the time, if not 100, you need to record things in mono and then mix them down maybe later on in stereo. So I'll choose my format to be mono. I'll not put any presets. This majorly determines, for example, you want to put some EQ, some compression and all that. So you can have some preset that will be going to your what we call the channel strip before you start doing anything. So I usually prefer not putting anything, because I might not necessarily be using my channels to record only vocals. And as you can see down here, we have presets for bass, presets for drums, and many other things. Almost every category of something that needs to be recorded is has already been preset. Now these presets, majorly most of them are created by Studio One, so they might not necessarily fit the taste of something that maybe you want to do. So the best thing is not necessarily choosing a preset from here. So personally, I don't choose a preset from here, though you could still choose a preset from here. Now down here we have a very, very important thing. My sound card, or rather my audio interface, is not a very complicated one. I'm using a Yamaha Audiogram 3, which is not really complicated. It's a very simple one. It's only a single channel audio interface. Now when you have an audio interface that has several inputs and several outputs, now this is where you make the decision. I remember, if you can remember well, during our previous video, there's a place I told you that PreSonus has also set its own templates for different audio interfaces, so that in case you are recording using one of their audio interfaces, they can do the configuration for you. Now this is exactly what I was trying to say. When you configure with their system and then you're not using their audio interfaces, chances are it is still not going to work for you, because you don't have their system. So right here, this is now where you make the decision. For example, if I had an audio interface that has maybe, let's say, 20 inputs, all the 20 inputs would appear here. So they would have lined up from the first one up to the 20th one. Now if I'm recording only one single microphone in the studio, then I could choose that particular microphone, and then I'll remove this button called ascending. Because what ascending basically means, it means with these 12 channels, if I have a sound card that has 20 inputs and I click on ascending, it means channel 1 will have input 1, channel 2 will have input 2, all the way to channel 12. But for this situation, I don't have a sound card that has very many inputs, and I'm also not recording 12 microphones real time. I'm only recording 12 channels, but one at a time. For example, you're doing take 1 from the same person, take 2 from the same person, take 3, and this same person is also doing other vocals. So you will definitely need the same input, because this one person is using the same microphone and it's passing through the same input. So I'll not have this ascending button toggled. But if I'm recording a multi-track session, what multi-track means is that I'm recording all the 12 tracks at a go. So I'll have ascending, this ascending button toggled. And then the other thing, I'll also have a sound card that supports up to 12 channels or even more. I hope that's clear. So for this situation, I don't need to toggle this one. And on the output, I'm only using the main output, because everything is coming out from my main mixer, or rather my audio interface. And this main output is my main out on my on my audio interface. So it's sending signal to my, what do you call it, to my monitors. So there's a way I've configured my system in a manner that the headphones are receiving signal slightly differently, and I'm triggering whatever is going to the monitors slightly differently. But majorly this is what you need. In case you want to configure it differently, I'll show you. There's a slightly advanced way of having multiple outputs, but I'll show you in a different video maybe, or if we have some time, we are going to show you today. So basically that's what you need. So I've told you on concerning naming, you might not really need to put a name here, because this name will appear on all the channels, and in some situations you might not really need to have the same name appearing in all the tracks, because you might be recording different things, and these things might be bearing different names. So for example, if I write the name bass here, let's say for example I assume that this is bass. So this name base will appear on all the 12 tracks, and that is not what I want. I want every track to have its independent name. So what I'll do, I'll make sure that this place is empty unless whatever it is that is appearing on this category called name, I want it to appear on all the 12 tracks. But in most cases, that is not something that you will really wish to do. So that being the case, I'll hit on OK, and then I have all the 12 tracks. They'll appear this way. So once they appear this way, what does it mean? So there's something I need. I need what we call an inspector. An inspector, every DAW has an inspector. It's a very important feature. In Studio One, to get the inspector, you click on F4. Once you click on F4, you get this particular category here. This is another window. So what the inspector does, it gives you information on each channel and a few settings, or rather a few things that you can toggle here and there, so that you can able to work on that particular channel. So if I toggle this particular button, for example, and you will realize that the details I'm getting here, these details are meant for this channel. So when I go to the next one, you realize that nothing is happening here, because the only record armed track is the first track. That's why you can see the level meter jumping up and about. So this part is really important, especially when, let's say, maybe when you're mixing. Mostly when you're recording, it might not really be a big deal, but when you're mixing, it is a big deal. So, but I just like having it around. I don't know why, but I just like having it around so that I confirm how my meters are moving, just in case I'm not maybe on the mixers, on the mixer window, because we have this workspace window and then we have the mixer window. So basically that's it. So you've opened your channels. Now the assumption here is that you're only recording vocals, you're not doing any VST recording. Now, what I mean by VST is basically you are not programming music inside, you're only recording stuff. So if somebody gets into the booth or whichever place and they start singing, the only thing that you can do right now is hit record. Now you can realize now when I'm speaking on the same microphone, you can see my voice being recorded. And it is as simple as that. You've basically done every step that you need to do to start recording. So basically, that's what you need to do. Now, there are a few interesting things. That we might not really be able to handle all of them right now. But some of these few interesting things is that you could also create some shortcuts. If you need to do some of the things that you want to do on this window easily and faster, you can create your own shortcuts. And I think in our next video we're going to do a few things concerning shortcuts, because Studio One has its own defaults, and you could start by learning the defaults if you've never worked with any other software. But again, if you've worked with another software, you could also create some defaults, or it has one big advantage which I'm going to share in the next video. In case you've been a Cubase user, a Logic user, and maybe a Pro Tools user, Cakewalk, Studio One has one big advantage that I've never seen in any other software. So be sure to check the next video, because I'm going to share that one thing that they've put that I've never seen in any other DAW. So for today, I think that was more than enough. Let's not take it further than that. But be sure to subscribe if you've not subscribed. Click on the subscription button and click on that bell so that you can get the notifications every time that we get to post a new video. For today, ciao.